Recently, a vote was held in the Grand Peace Online Discord server, and the vote was between 3 fruits: Venom, Paw, and String. String has received the most votes so far by a lot, and I really don't see that changing anytime soon. All of these fruits are interesting, and I'm sure players would love to see them implemented. However, when it comes down to selecting which one should be added, the community can become quite divided. Personally, I voted for Venom. This was just my personal preference, and I did have to think about it though, and it was definitely not an easy decision. In this video, I'll be sharing my argument for Venom, and then discussing the other 2 remaining options. I want to see Venom added to the game because I think it would look amazing in Grand Peace Online. A lot of Venom's moves are quite visually interesting to me, and I'd love to see how the modelers and animators for GPO would approach such a visual heavy moveset. Of the fruit's moves, my favourite moves by far are the ones that involve huge transformations into giant Venom forms. Hydra is one such form, and while I do think this transformation is cool, I personally prefer Magellan's ultimate attack, Venom Demon. This form has a more crimson colouring, making it stand out when compared to the traditional purple Venom used in many of Magellan's other attacks. Another cool mechanic that Magellan displayed in One Piece was the fruit's ability to cover the user in poison, or venom, granting them a temporary immunity to certain forms of attacks. For example, if a person was going to try and attack Magellan with a melee attack while in this form, that person would likely end up being affected by the poison coating, which would absorb some of the damage. If this was implemented into GPO, I could see it giving the user damage reduction while also, damaging or poisoning them if they touched the player who was in this form. This would be an awesome mechanic and would definitely make Venom a cool fruit both to use and to fight against. I also hope that if the fruit ever is added, that they make it able to affect the area around the user. What I mean by this is that if a Venom user used an attack that involved Venom, it would leave a pool of Venom in the area where the attack hit. Obviously, this would eventually disappear, but it would remain there and poison anyone who touched it while it was there. I imagine this would also be implemented in the form of a trail of Venom behind the Venom Demon form, as this is how it's usually shown in One Piece games. Venom Demon and Hydra would likely be some of the fruit's strongest moves, and I think Venom Demon would be a cool ultimate that would be a really unique mechanic to introduce to the game. Outside of Zoans, we don't usually see transformations like this in GPO, so I think it'd be really interesting to see this kind of thing in game. But to avoid confusion, I also want to mention that I understand that Magellan does not transform into the form, but rather creates it and then gets inside it, or locates himself near it. However, it is just a simpler way to phrase it like this, and as a huge fan of Banier's work, I'd love to see how he would approach such an interesting and unique material like Venom. Equally, it would be cool to see how players would utilize this fruit in new and different ways. Combos involving poison and transformation combos would be really nice to see, and I predict that if the fruit is ever added, that players would find ways to make it overpowered. Now that I've discussed my thoughts on Venom, I think I should also talk about the other 2 options, Paw and String. Well, Paw is a fruit that is arguably one of the most interesting out of the 3, and mainly due to the fact that in One Piece we see Kuma use this fruit in many different ways. One such way is that he uses it to transport people to different islands by slapping them with his open palm, and I think this would be a strange but cool mechanic to be added to the game, and I imagine it'll be implemented like this. If a player is knocked, then the Paw user can hit them and teleport them to an island. I'm not sure if the person using Paw would be able to select the island, but I think most likely they would, as this would make it the most, useful way to implement it into the game. The fruit could also be used in a lot of funny ways. I personally could imagine just knocking some random noob at Starter Island, and then teleporting them to random islands that are further out in the game, and such. Outside of this though, I'm not too sure what other moves the fruit could have. The fruit, however, has been used to create compressed air-based attacks, usually in the shape of a paw, leading to massive explosions. Despite not voting for String, I can definitely see why somebody would vote for String, as its moveset is just very complete, and seems like it would fit well into GPO. The fruit also has a form of air travel, as Doflamingo can attach strings to the clouds in order to move around. And of course, this is a really big thing in GPO, as many people will choose a fruit, be like Pika or Mera, because of its ability to fly, especially with like the Geppo cooldown, that kind of thing. Other moves the fruit could have, it can create clones out of string, which could be used to distract an opponent or block an attack, or just absorb damage for the person who's using string, which would be kind of cool to see in game, because I imagine like you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So if I created 3 string clones, I could just run away and no one would know, which would be quite a funny thing, or just a really cool mechanic to see in game. It can also be used to take control of other players and control their movements like marionettes. This is a great mechanic. Imagine you're like getting chased by like 3 bounty hunters in an island, and you turn around and just start like puppeteering the strongest one, and then suddenly it's not a 2v1, it's a 2v1 on the opposite scale, or like you kind of like turn the tables of a fight, which is really cool to see in the game, like GPO. However, the fruit's strongest and most interesting move is by far the ultimate technique, Bird Cage. Now this move completely traps people within a cage of string and restricts their movement greatly, because obviously you can't go outside of the string, so in that sense you are kind of stuck. And in GPO this could be used to trap entire islands, or keep players stuck in a small area. And this would make the fruit great for bounty hunting, as a high bounty player could get trapped and forced into a 1v1 scenario by putting them into a cage of string. The move could also be used as a form of protection, as if someone was chasing you, you could trap them within the cage and use the time to heal or regen stamina. Doflamingo can also control the bird cage and make it gradually get smaller and smaller. Now this is kind of terrifying because it would, in theory, cut everything inside, so this means that the move could be used in an offensive sense, and could in theory be used to simultaneously damage entire islands worth of players and NPCs. However, fortunately the damage would be brief and likely you would just phase through it. However, based on the scaling of the move, that might be enough to completely shift the tide of a war or a 1v1. For example, picture there's a huge war going on, your team is losing, you suddenly get all your team out of the area, and then you just trap everyone else into a huge bird cage and very slowly just crush them all. It would be terrifying for them, but it would be great for you and your team. And if you were really like that scared, you could run away in that, that time period. However, yeah, that's really all I have to say about these fruits for now. I might make a longer video on them, or just make some more videos talking about other fruits that could get added to GPO. I definitely want to talk about some more like fruits that I'm interested in, like for example Moria's shadow fruit, and a bunch of other fruits that I really do like in the anime, and I think would fit really well in GPO. Basically, I'm a big fan of fruits that are not as, I guess, traditional. Like obviously it's very easy, well not very easy, but it's quite, you can kind of understand how Mera is going to work, how Hiei is going to work. But when you have fruits that are like Paramecias and a little bit different or quirky, it's definitely kind of interesting to think about how they could be added. For example, one such fruit that I'm sure people are hating and definitely do not want to be added would be the jacket fruit, but I could definitely see this being an interesting fruit to be added as a common. It's just stuff like that. I like how different it is. As much as Logias are cool, they're all pretty simple. It's a very old trope of just, you have elemental powers, you can control ice, you can control fire, you can control magma. However, Paramecias really open up the door for possibilities in GPO, and I might make a video talking more in depth about that. And if you do want to see that video, make sure to like this video. If this video gets like 100 likes, I kind of can understand that you guys want to see more commentary, and I will definitely do more commentary. It's actually pretty much easier for me to do that because I can just script it and record it. But anyway, that's all I really have to say about this on the matter. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. We are so close to 20k subs, and I'd really appreciate your support. And I hope you're having a great day, evening, whatever time it is for you, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye, guys.